Hey, welcome back. Today I am doing this in the car, and we're doing it here. You have to deal with some traffic noise beside me because I've got six sons, and they are sledding. And when the snow happens in Oklahoma, you got to take advantage of it right when it happens. And so they wanted to go sledding for the second time in 2 days because the snow is melting. So they're doing that, and I'm recording with you. So we're in Matthew 19 through 21. The big idea of Matthew 19 through 21 is the upside down nature of the kingdom of God and the reign of Christ. He's going to prepare them for this, even though they're not fully going to understand it, so that when he dies, they understand what's happening, hopefully. And remember how Peter did not really, he's like, I understand you're the Christ. I believe you're the Christ, the Son of God, but he didn't understand what Christ was coming to do. He thought he was going to rule like a normal king, conquering his enemies militarily, ruling with a rod of iron, putting down all those nasty Romans and people, right? That's the way he thinks of it. The truth is that Christ is coming to reign in a different kind of way, on a different over a different kind of kingdom. And so he starts talking about that in 19 through 21. And let's look at it. So he deals with divorce. I'm not going to take time to deal with that in the first part of 19. You need to talk to your pastor. It's a controversial and difficult topic that's very nuanced. So I want you to talk to your pastor, see what he says, and follow his direction on it. Or you'll have to do your own research on that one. I'm not going to talk about it. But then he welcomes the children. Right, so this kind of kingdom doesn't only have time for the powerful and those who can do something for the king. It has time to bless the weak and the small and the young. And then there's a rich young man who comes to him, and he says, give away, he says to this young man, give away everything that you have and sell everything you have, give it to the poor, you'll have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. Now, why did Jesus do this? And is this a command to everyone? The answer is no. It's not a command to everyone. In fact, Jesus literally didn't give this command to everyone. Why this guy? The answer is he knew this man's heart. And he knew that he was all about his own goodness and his own success and his own character and his own reputation and his own wealth. And so he said this, and the young man went away sorrowful. In other words, I would trade my things, the things I have, for Christ. I would trade them. Let me scratch that. I would not trade the things I already have for Christ. Does that make sense? He's saying, I would not trade the wealth that I have and all of that I'm going to continue trusting in my own ability to make myself right with God by my own strength and by my own wisdom. And the truth is that we can't really do it. And Jesus is sad, and so is this young man. But I would just point out that that he's giving a look at the upside downness of the kingdom. And then in chapter 20, he gives another story that does the same thing about laborers in the vineyard, and the last are first and the first are last. Do you see this backwards, upside down sort of thing? And then Jesus foretells his death again, says, I'm going to die, and they will condemn to death, and then I'll be raised up on the third day. And they're like, what? And then James and John, two of Jesus' disciples, their mother, comes to Jesus and says, hey, Jesus, why don't you let my sons sit at your right and left hand when you come into your kingdom? When your kingdom is established, let them be your number one and number two guys. Right? And Jesus is like, sorry, that's not the way it works in this kingdom. And then he tells them, everyone who is great among you must be your servant. This is an upside down kingdom. It does not function in the way that kingdoms work in our world, right? And then he concludes all of this by the triumphal entry. This is now exactly 7 days before Christ is crucified. All right, it's the intro to the final week. It's 7 days before Easter. So he comes in on what we call Palm Sunday, and that's what's happening in chapter 21. And he comes in not riding on a war horse. It's like the arrival of a king, but it's not like a war horse and all of that, like a normal king would have come in prancing on the proudest and biggest steed he could possibly find. Jesus comes walking in on a donkey. And it is specifically, I want to point out in verse number 4, this took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet. he's saying, this is exactly the way the prophet said this king would come. And so he comes and establishes his authority over things. He tells some powerful parables about why he is setting aside the religious leaders of the day. And then that introduces the final week of Jesus' life here on this earth in his ministry. So enjoy that reading today and watch the upside down kingdom be explained and unfolded for you. I'll see you tomorrow.